So this lesson is about the first 7 guitar chords that I always go over with all my new students. When somebody comes in, whether they've played guitar before or not, what we do is, kind of see what they know, what kind of questions they have, and then almost immediately we jump into learning these first 7 guitar chords. Some of these are simplified in that they're not going to be what you would see as a more traditional voicing, but that allows you to start playing music a little bit quicker. The 3 that are on this, in this lesson that you're going to see that are simplified, one is going to be a D chord. And I explained this, all of this stuff to them when they first start, but this D chord here. Now, if I add this note right here to it, it's a D major. If I add this note to it, it's a D minor. But for when you're first starting out, you can use this one simplified D chord where I just eliminate the note that's on this high E string so that you can use that interchangeably. Is it going to sound exactly the same? No. But like I said, it will get you playing some music fairly quickly, and it's going to help you develop the muscles in this hand. That's the biggest reason that I give these first 7 guitar chords right away. Because if you haven't played a musical instrument, you haven't played guitar or anything like that, the first thing we need to do is start to develop the muscles in this hand. Best way to do that is just to play. So these first 7 guitar chords are going to be a way for you to start learning how to play some chords, feel like you're accomplishing something, and give you a vehicle to play songs. So we're going to start out first with an E minor. Now for that, if you went back and you took a look at the how to read a chord diagram lesson, you'll see that we've got our fingers listed as 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, and that's on our fretting hand. So we're going to take our fingers 2 and 3, and we're going to put the second finger on the second fret of the A string, so the second one down, and the third finger on the second fret of the D string. Now sometimes I see people doing this, with their first 2 fingers. It sounds the same, but the reason we want to play it like this is so that we can see the relationship between E major and E minor. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it makes all of these chord changes a lot easier. There are no concrete, this is how you always have to play this chord. Because what you play before and after a chord can determine which way you're going to play that chord. But for right now, we are going to play it exactly the way it's written on the PDF that you can pull up below the lesson. And so again, second and third fingers, we've got E minor. Now, if we move those 2 fingers down a set of strings, meaning that we're going from this set to this set, and then we take the third finger and move it down 1 more, then we move into A7. Let's do that again. So we've got E minor. We're going to take these 2 fingers, move them down 1 set of strings, and then third finger down 1 more. So we're going to go for E minor to A7. Now we're going to move into that simplified D chord. We're going to pick up our second finger. We're going to leave the third finger right here. We take that third finger, we move it up 1 fret to the 3rd fret on that B string. Take your first finger and put it on the 2nd fret of the G string. Okay, so far we've got E minor, A7, D. Now, to move into that simplified C chord, we're going to take our first finger and pick that up, leave the third finger right where it is. If you're looking at the PDF, you're going to notice that the third finger doesn't need to move for any of these 3. Okay, so take your second finger and you're going to put it on the same fret, so you're still on the 3rd fret of the A string, so that these 2 fingers are both on the 3rd fret, they're just on different strings. Now, another thing that you're going to notice is that on the PDF, on the chord diagram, you've got, especially like on this C chord, you've got an X on the E string, you've got an X on the D string, and you have an X on the high E string. Now, the X's that are to the right of a finger, it's the finger that's blocking that string. So you don't have to try to do it. You know, the most you would have to do is just kind of angle your fingers down just a little bit instead of having them straight up and down, because if you do that with a C, it sounds like this. And you get some of those notes clashing and not really working together. But if I kind of roll the fingers back just a hair, you get a nice sounding chord. So now let's move into that simplified G. For this, we're just taking this finger and moving it up one string. Okay. Now the next chord we have is going to be E major. So in order to move into that, we're going to just do E minor again. Then we take our first finger and we're going to put it on the first fret of the G string. Now this is how you can figure out exactly why we're playing that E minor with those second, third fingers. We've got the relationship between E major and E minor. The only difference is that one note, this note here. You can hear the difference just like that. Now some people will say, well, minor chords sound sad. To me, it's not that they sound sad, they just sound like they fall off a little bit. And then the major chord sounds a little bit brighter. So minor, major. So one sounds like it's falling and one sounds like it's lifting. Okay, so now moving from E major to A minor, we just take that same shape and drop it one set of strings that way, right over that way. So now let's go back through all of those chords that we just did. We have E minor, go to A7, D, C, G, E major, and then A minor. So the way you're going to practice this is you're going to strum each chord 4 times, move to the next chord. What you don't want to do is go, okay, then spend a bunch of time trying to make that next chord, spend a bunch of time trying to make the chord. What you want to do is slow everything down so that everything is the same distance apart. So if you have to go so slow that it sounds like that's fine. Move at your own pace. Move at what's comfortable for you while still pushing yourself just a little bit. That's what's going to help you get better. So we're going to go through this, about 2 or 3 times so that you can, play along with the video if you decide you want to do that, and so that you can see how it's going to sound. Now, the chords are in a specific order because the changes are easy. And most importantly, it's interesting sounding enough that you're not going to hate playing it after 2 or 3 times, because this is something that you're going to have to play over and over and over. Now, this exercise is not going to help you remember the names of these chords. I have students come in occasionally on the second lesson and they're like, I don't remember the names of any of the chords. You're not going to remember the names of them until you apply them. Until you start to use them in chord progressions or songs or, other exercises that we do. That's how you're going to remember them. Until then, they're just these shapes that you're playing with your left hand. So, again, let's go ahead and play through these chords, and then you'll be ready to jump into the next video. So we've got Go back to E minor. One more time.